These pans cost up to $200, so we scratched them, burned them, and cooked on them for days to see what actually happens when you push them to their limits. We tested 3 of the most popular premium pans on the market: Taima Titanium, HexClad, and Made In. And we started with the egg test. First up, HexClad. We added a little bit of oil, set the heat to medium, dropped an egg in, and it slid right off. The non-stick ceramic coating makes it very beginner-friendly, with almost no technique needed. We used the same setup with Made In, but this time we were cooking directly on stainless steel. That means that heat, oil, and timing matter a lot more. So we needed to preheat the pan properly and make sure the oil goes in just at the right moment. And once we got it right, the egg cooked evenly and released easily. Then, Taima Titanium. We preheated the pan on medium for about a minute, added a little bit of oil, and dropped in the egg. Since you're cooking on a pure titanium surface with no coating at all, proper preheating matters here. And once the pan was ready, it performed like a non-stick. The egg slid around with just a shake, and it cooked without sticking or burning. Then we turned up the heat for the high heat test. For this round, we cooked steaks back to back on high heat. We wanted to see how each pan handled searing, hot spots, and repeated cooking. With Made In, the steak developed a deep crust very quickly. This pan definitely rewards patience. If you try flipping it too early before the crust forms, the meat sticks right away. Once you leave it alone for a few minutes though, the browning looks great. HexClad gave us solid browning too, but it felt a little easier to manage during faster cooking. The food released more easily during repeated rounds and quick movements in the pan. Taima Titanium heated very evenly, and it developed deep browning and a consistent crust across the steak. And just like stainless steel, waiting for the crust to fully form before flipping made the release so much easier. After several rounds of high heat cooking, all 3 pans started showing signs of real use: oil marks, discoloration, and small cosmetic changes. Now, you usually don't see this part in cookware ads, but it's completely normal once pans go through repeated high heat cooking. What's important is that none of these visual changes affected how the pans performed. Then we did the scratch test. We used metal spatulas, forks, whisks, and we even scraped aggressively during the cooking process. HexClad held up better than a traditional nonstick pan, but after repeated scraping, you could start to see wears in part of the textured surface. Now, as far as Made In goes, it picked up scratches fairly quickly, but they were mostly cosmetic. The pan still cooked the same way. Taima Titanium showed no significant visible change after repeated metal utensil use and aggressive scraping. So none of these pans stayed looking brand new after cooking on them for days, but that means no matter how expensive a pan is, real cooking does leave marks. But performance-wise, all 3 still kept cooking consistently. After all the heat, the oil, and the burnt food, it was time for the cleanup test. Now with Made In, the browned oil and stuck-on residue needed a bit more soaking and scrubbing after the high heat test, which is pretty normal for stainless steel cooking. A quick deglaze or a soaking helped loosen most of it before washing. HexClad cleaned up pretty easily overall, though after repeated cooking, some oil buildup started collecting in parts of the textured surface. Since it uses a non-stick coating, we kept the cleaning a bit gentler to avoid any possible damage. With Taima Titanium, most of the residue came off with warm water and soap. For tougher spots though, baking soda and water helped lift the remaining buildup, and we even scrubbed the surface more aggressively without noticing any damage. After testing all 3 side by side, we saw that no pan is perfect. Some are easier to cook on, some handle scratches better, some do better with high heat, and some need a little more technique to get the best results. At the end of the day, it's not really about finding a perfect pan. It's about knowing what kind of cooking experience you want and what to expect from a premium pan. HexClad feels the most beginner-friendly. Made In gives you more of that classic stainless steel cooking experience. And as for Taima Titanium, it focuses more on long-term durability without relying on a non-stick coating. If you want to see more cookware tests like this one, hit like, subscribe, and let us know what test you want to see next. We'll see you soon.